Hey mamas, so have you ever wondered when you're going to sit down to breastfeed your baby, which side do you start on? Like your left side, your right side? Like how do you determine that, right? It's kind of hard and tricky sometimes, but it's really, really simple, okay? Usually there's going to be one side, which is what we call your MVP, most valuable producer, okay? This is the boob that is basically always in production mode. You can totally rely on her. And it's kind of like she went to engineering school, whilst the other one is usually the slacker. That's what I call it, and that's what a lot of other moms call it as well, the slacker boob. And you're always going to have one of each, okay? It really can be different left side or right side for different women. There's a lot of different factors that contribute to that. Maybe on one side you just happen to have more milk ducts basically, and they're able to produce more milk. So it really doesn't matter. What I'd say is just take advantage of that, like producer, maker of boob milk basically. So you want to latch your baby on that side first. For me, in most of my pregnancies, it was my right side, and my left side was my slacker boob. So I would always start with my right side, okay? And then what I would do is make sure that that side was fully drained before moving to the next side. And then, because sometimes you switch multiple times, not just one boob and then the other boob throughout your breastfeeding journey, and when you are breastfeeding your baby in general, just because sometimes they'll get bored, so you'll just switch to the other side, or for comfort or whatever, or if you're using the other hand. So what is important though is to make sure you know which one you were on last, so that in your next breastfeeding session you start on the one that you weren't breastfeeding, so that you make sure that you are fully draining your breast, and so that you don't end up looking like a Picasso painting where you're like kind of lopsided, so that your boobs are kind of even. And then my super useful tip or trick would be the super hairband hero or bracelet hero. So what you do is the last side that you were breastfeeding on, if it was my right side, for example, I would put my bracelet, hairband, whatever you want to do on that side. And then you know that that was your last side, okay? And then you would be switching with your bracelet or your watch. If that's comfy, I just always like to have my watch on my left side. So I always think that the bracelet or hairband tip works really, really well, okay? So just kind of to sum up, moms, remember, don't think that your boob is letting you down. There's always going to be a slacker, okay? So just make sure that you're praising that I like to say, maybe not slacker, maybe it's more on the creative side, so it's not quite sure what it's doing all the time, where you have that other one, which is like on production engineering mode. So you really want to make sure that you maximize that particular boob, make sure that you are draining it fully so that it's constantly producing for you and it's constantly filled up. Okay, make sure that you keep track which side you are breastfeeding on, so you make sure that you're even, and then just keep that flowing. If you have that slacker boob where you're like really struggling, you can also stimulate that boob by doing like massage like this, or compressions where you do kind of like a C shape, kind of like as if you're squeezing a sandwich, and then that should help to kind of like drain it a little bit further down, and also to help stimulate that boob to produce more milk as well. Well, I hope all of that was useful, mamas. And let me know which is your slacker boob, which is your super engineer boob. Write it in the comments. We'd love to know. Maybe we can do a contest, see which is the winner, lefty or righty.